My Rosh Yeshiva, Harav HaGaon Elan Gold, has given a YouTube shir on the many halakas we would have if we had a Yom Tov, in which we were required to bring a tree into our house and decorate it. So unfortunately, Rabbi Gold, due to time considerations, had to leave out many important halakas. So with your patience and kind indulgence, I will give over his shir, plus explain other important laws concerning the use of trees on Yom Tov. Now we find the source for this in the Talmud in Masechet HaEitz. First, Chazal discuss how to shecht the tree, when to shecht it, where to shecht it. For instance, can you shecht it at a 45-degree angle, or does it have to be straight? How far off the ground can you shecht the tree? It's very important. Everybody agrees it's essential the tree has to be killed in the most painless way possible, which raises an important question. Should you use an axe or a saw? Now, Rabbi Tarfon holds that you have to use an axe because it's sharper. However, the sages ruled differently and said you must use a saw because a saw is sharper and causes less distress for the tree. What about a chainsaw? So in Talmudic times, they didn't have chainsaws yet, so we have them today. Can you use a chainsaw? So the Mishnah Berurah holds that you may not use a chainsaw because the noise and the fumes from the saw causes distress for the tree. However, Rav Moshe Feinstein has held that you can use a chainsaw, but it must be an electric chainsaw. It's not noisy, doesn't have fumes. But if you're going to use an electric chainsaw, it's essential you have to sharpen each and every tooth on that saw before killing each individual tree. Can a goy shecht a tree for a Jew? Is it mavushal or not mavushal? It's a machlokas. Most poskim say no, but there is a minority opinion that says a goy can shecht a tree for a Jew, but you can't ask him directly to do it. You have to sort of hint around at it. So if you're at the tree farm, you could say something like, well, that is a really beautiful tree. It would look great in my living room. And my back really hurts. My arthritis is acting up. But that's one gorgeous tree. I'm having chest pains. Call 911. But that's a great looking tree. And my wife will really love it, especially if I survive this heart attack. Now, hopefully he'll take the hint and cut your tree for you. Now, what about pre-cut trees in stores? It's really better to cut your own. Everyone agrees on this, but it's okay to buy a store-bought tree, but they have to be under reliable certification to ensure that the tree was cut by a shomer mitzvah Jew. What if a tree has a mum? Can you shecht it at all? What kind of tree can you use? Well, it can't be a fruit tree because that would be wasting future food. The tree should not set its leaves too quickly because that would just make a big mess in your living room. The Gemara says the tree should have a pleasing, beautiful form. Preferably it should be symmetrical, and you should get the best tree you can reasonably afford because you want to beautify the mitzvah. You can't cut down a tree that's already dead. It has to be a live tree. How do you know if it's dead or alive? It has to show sap. How much? It has to show a chazayas of sap. Now, is this the Yom Kippur chazayas, which is the size of my little fingernail, or is this the Pesach chazayas, which is the size of my fist? And some say it's the size of my head. So you're going to have to ask your congregational rabbi on that one. Now, the tree cannot be grown with artificial chemical fertilizers. All opinions say only natural fertilizers can be used, and it must come from a kosher animal. Now, it's important that a Jew witnesses the fertilizing material as it exits the animal. And this must be under constant supervision till such time as the farmer takes possession of it and uses it to fertilize the tree. This is known as shmura manura. Some people, in addition, have the minhag of watering the tree with mayim Yisrael. This is water that's been drawn from a well by a shomer mitzvah Jew. When you bring that tree into the house, there's two brachas you make. Now, this first bracha you make going through the doorway. Now, Beis Shammai says that if 1 foot has crossed the doorway, it's too late to make the bracha, you just can't do it. But Beis Hillel says, if both feet have crossed the doorway, it's okay, you can still make the bracha, provided you haven't made any more additional steps into the house. Everybody agrees it's never too late to make the second bracha. That's the one you take when you erect the tree in your living room. Set it up, then you make the second bracha. However, when you make the second bracha, it's very important you should have in mind all the trees that died to make paper for svarim and wood for stenders. The tree must be checked for bugs. Some people have a chumrah that you soak the tree in a swimming pool. This is not necessary. A visual inspection is okay. If the tree is infested with bugs, it's treif. How many bugs is an infestation? Well, it depends on what kind of bugs, how many bugs, where are the bugs? Are they on the surface of the tree or have they burrowed into the wood? Would the bugs eventually kill the tree if you hadn't already cut it down? This is all very complicated and requires a whole nother shear. Now, all poskim agree that you can remove a small amount of bugs, you can clean them off the tree, but first you have to send away the mother bug. When you decorate the tree, can you put a star on the top? Well, yes you can, but only if it's 6-pointed Magen David. And it has to be at least 1 tefach high. And there must be at least 2 tefachim between the top of the star and the bottom of your ceiling, otherwise you can't use the star at all. Can you hang malachim, those little plastic angels from the branches? Yes, you can do that, but if you do, you first got to break off their little noses so people won't mistakenly think it's avodah zarah. It's very important when you hang the lights, you hang them from the top to the bottom. But when you light the tree, light those lights, you've got to start from the bottom and go to the top. Why is this? Because by starting from the bottom and going to the top, is though we are ascending to Shemayim. Now, if chas v'shalom, a bulb goes out, the whole string of lights is possible, you got to throw it away. The string of lights represents Klal Yisrael, so if one of the bulbs is out, if one of us is out, we're all out. Rashi holds that if the bulb is dim, or if it flickers, it's okay because it still has life in it. We all know people that are a little bit dim and not all there, but they are still Jews. What about using lights that flash on and off, like those strobe lights? For sure that's usher. What color lights should you use? Some people have used yellow or orange or purple. I don't know. It's best to be machmir and use only blue and white. Red and green are definitely usher because it's too much like a Goyish color scheme. Once the tree is lit, you may not benefit from the light. If you want to read, you have to set up a lamp next to the tree. If the lamp goes out, you close the book and you run out of the room. Now, Ashkenazim may not derive any benefit from the smell of the tree. So, I'm an Ashkenazim, we kind of walk around, you hold your nose and breathe through your mouth. However, Sephardim are allowed to smell the tree. After you've mounted the tree, and chas v'shalom, a branch should fall off. The whole tree is possible, you gotta remove it. But you can't just throw it in the trash because a tree has kedusha. You have to save it for shkach, for your sukkah next year, for sukkahs. And there's a lenient opinion if it's not gonna last that long, you can just save it till Pesach and you can use it for burning your chametz. So, to Gretz of this, just have a slight digression here. People sometimes ask, what is the correct minhag to follow on December 25th? Now, most authorities say that you should eat a full course sit-down meal at a Chinese restaurant, and afterwards you go to a theater where you watch a movie. Now, there are some lenient opinions, which I do not hold by, that says you can just skip the restaurant and microwave some egg rolls and pop in a DVD. Most don't do that. Can you skip the Chinese food and have Indian food or Thai food instead? Well, the answer is no, only non-observant people do that. I hope this answers some of the many questions that people have, and my next year will be on hilchos humantashen. And thank you very much for joining us.